Hello, Collective. Welcome to another timeless episode of my Devil series, where the devil energy is merely the ego that doesn't know if it's operating of light and or of darkness, so wants to play a game with you. Bear in mind that you have tapped into a collective reading. This is not a one-to-one personal insightful reading, so it's important that you utilize your discernment to take all the bits and pieces that resonate with you, leave anything with the reading behind that may not have resonated. Remember that feminine and masculine energies in a reading are non-gender specific. However, femininity encapsulates both feminine and masculine energies. Masculinity also encapsulates both feminine and masculine energies. Again, this is the Devil series reading, where the ego is unsure whether it is operating of light and or of darkness, so it wants to play a game. I did see 111. Your faith, your belief, all things you is being tested at this moment. Okay, all things positive, all things negative, all things coming through ancestral DNA, anything really that you're breathing life of oxygen to when you take a breath, okay? And anything that is not alive yet because it hasn't reached the blood cells of oxygen is being pushed towards your ego to feel, to be like a knock-knock of a joke and say, who's who? And the joke is on you, okay? So that's dancing with the ego, okay? That's dancing with the vulnerabilities of what you think are your successes or what not is, what is not your success. And most often than not, what energies we blame when we feel like some of the life-challenging aspects are damning to us, right? Unjustifiable. If we're afraid and we have been inundated with the possibility of what makes us afraid, then usually it's mixed in with the emotions of you not knowing the actual experience, but you have been fed information of a possible situation to occur. So you more or less have put in subconsciously, consciously, who knows, more than you and the discovery of your journey, what the area of right and left, forward and backward, dark and light is to mean. Pros and cons of the pendulum swinging of opportunity. You have a single stream of focus, meaning you have a vernacular tongue of usually, depending on how many languages you speak, more chances than not, you cannot speak in multi languages at the same time. It has to be one single stream of consciousness, right? It has to be a monotone of a direction of longitude and latitude of delivery, right? And that delivery goes into the senses of everything that we are. Now, the senses of we are start with the physical perception, the eyes to see, the synopsis of taking in what it is that you see, the skin's reaction, because the skin is the biggest vessel of organ to you, that also vibrates, it vibrates and reverberates, whatever, a jumble of words are coming that are you. Everything is a reaction. Just because you might not speak on it in a single monotone of a dialogue out loud does not mean things are not happening. It doesn't mean that just because you can't speak multiple languages at the same time in one single moment that you are not able to before, middle, or after. The middle point being that is, if you take a sentence and you can say the first part in one language and the other part in another language, it would still only mean that you are still incapable of having full potential power and speaking two or more languages than the one. So what is the relationship to the one of you? And how is that relationship going to take on accountability to be born within you? Because the more or less the injuries to your life is you being aware that you are unaware of yourself. And the moment that you become unaware of yourself, there are energies around you who are tiptoeing whether or not you have the ability to change who you are, because there are likes and dislikes of within you that is knocking on your door of opportunity, asking you, Do you want to do better? And that's when you have envy come into the room, because maybe somebody else's illegitimate behavior towards showing up for themselves trickles through the vibration of multidimensional being able to communicate with you, although it may not come outside of a vernacular tongue. Meaning, they may say, I support you, but 90% of the dialogue to get themselves to say that is maybe negative. Maybe it has ulterior motives, selfish, envy, as mentioned, could be packed into that. They might be supportive of you, but everything else around their energy to deliver that, the multidimensional ways of reaction, may have an ulterior motive. What's the energy within you that will give you access to that denomination of possibility and then communicate with you which is of you and which is of not? To me, ladies and gentlemen, and all those in between and beyond, that's the energy of the devil in old traditional tarot, and the way that it wants to overall in tarot introduce itself to playing a role. A role that you cannot escape, a role that you must take as much responsibility, if not more, if you're going to sit there in the light, whatever they may mean for you, and attract as much as you want to attract. This density is going to come through you the only way that you will listen. And the most way that you will listen is where you will be hurt the most. More chances than not, with courtesy of this card, it's going to be the emotional patterns. The ones you don't like, the ones you love, the ones you anticipate, the ones you dream of. That's all you. The only way to teeter possibilities is to teeter trying to oxygenate. Said that thing. I think I said that wrong. Whatever, you get it. Bring oxygen to the water in you. Okay, behind the skin and also what makes the skin is 75% water, right? So that, in alchemy, to respect of that metaphor, it's all you. 75% of the emotions, 75% of know-how of filtering through emotions, 75% of giving yourself ability to cry, crying, being exhausted of crying, pretending not wanting to cry, self-admission, non-admission, anything having to do with taking a good breath, a right breath, a wrong breath, calming the sea of emotions, all that shit is all your responsibility. And the moment it becomes difficult, and that difficulty is maybe in the direction of seeing a void and you're not certain of the void, you don't have to be afraid of the void. The void is maybe admissible information to say, oh, we have information or an opportunity to work with. Everything comes from the void, ladies and gentlemen, and all those in between and beyond. Everything comes from the void. If you want to manifest everything that you want to manifest, that will come from the void. Something will come out of nothing, always. Always. Whether you show up to it or not is also derivative responsibility of how much you will feel the consequences of that experience. There are, again, hot spots to that pivot of decision of where you will take a sovereign individual take onto your life, or you will flow with the free will that is allotted and schemed for you to be able to be on. There is a pitchfork in the road of opportunity for that. And wherever that lies in the consciousness of you accepting that journey is however destined you are capable to know that you shape your own destiny. And that bubble doesn't profit you blaming something other than yourself. Especially when you resort to that other energy for attraction. You must also resort to that energy for sacrificing, for mercy, for evolution of self, which is meeting thy maker, and the maker is you. The good parts and the bad parts. if you want to continue the narrative that you want to blame someone else, then you are not yet ready to take the journey of sovereignty. It wants you to know that you can do the same pattern and utilize each and everything and everyone as a resource. Well then, we're shaping the perspective of living in thy sovereignty. You also have a sense of responsibility to maintain your dignity, your integrity by the inner wellness of you. If you are constantly surrounding yourself with energies that drain you, it is your responsibility to no longer or lessen the amount of time spent around that energy. Whomever that energy is, however strong or thick that thread of connection is completely irrelevant to the point, but more relevant to the degree of difficulty for you to make that decision. All right, let's see what the major aspect of the reading that the ego would like to disclose. Doesn't want to disclose shit, actually. All right. The singular aspect to the major mystery. Major mystery is that there is none. King of Swords. You have more than enough information of internal prowess to be able to deliver your next footprints of establishment, I'm hearing. And doing it, quote unquote, structurally, where you are the master of the blueprint, master of the architecture, master of renting that space. Being a landlord to your own mental stability and your own master of teaching your ego its discipline and the tug of war between the ego and the soul. Yeah. The time for responsibility in all shreds of layers. It's time to prove. And this isn't to induce fear. This is to establish a foundation that you want to secure. So if you feel secure, it's automatically going to be structured. So what's the problem besides honesty coming to some version of prevailing here? It's the goodness of it all. Because with good comes shit too. There is no more gaslighting allowed in the collective of transparency. There is no more ill will imposed on those who won't be able to see it coming. People who are in the collective of high vibrational energies know what's up. And if they don't know what's up, they will be made known and they will automatically show up to that. It's up to you defining that journey of how involved you are, because this is a vibration. If it's high vibrational, it's also low vibrational. Nine of Pentacles, finding your level, finding your entry level, finding cheat codes if there are, and there are some. Let me tell you, there are a lot of cheat codes that you can do. All right, some of y'all will be like, why is she wearing fucking Bluetooth all the time? You know, it's just she knows it's not bad. Oh, I know. I also know how vibrational high I am, so this shit of a problem is beneath me. So figure thyself out in the levels and do your own entryway, and then know what you signed yourself up for. I mean, come on. Y'all want to talk about it and gossip and build bonds of, you know, who's who and how you're a best friend with that is the integrity behind the gossip and the drama, you know, that you're only sharing all this because you love a person and you're the best interest at heart. Yeah, okay, not for nothing. That's supposed to be like my little middle finger in the air, okay, reduction here, and be like, come on, be real. Half of that shit is based off of lies. If denial is a lie. Denial, especially if you know better, is a fucking big lie. It ain't a white lie. Alright, Lovers. Stack down to the major aspect. The major aspect is that you know you are filled to the brim with knowing. You are filled with the brim of dreams, longing, desire, and tons of fucking questions. A shit ton of questions. But you don't spend this equal amount of time listening and searching for an answer to the question, one question at a time. No, you just stagger one question over another, and question, another question, another question, another question, another question, another question. Come on now. Come on now. All right, let's expose the minor aspect to which the ego may or may not see. Singular minor aspect. The fight is in the fight. The answer is in the fight. The question is in the fight. What you don't see is that you're above the minor situation. Let's get another card, please. Yep, High Priestess. That's the admission where the ego and the spirit of the soul is at a tug of war. Some aspects you don't know, that's the High Priestess. Some aspects you know due to the drama at hand. Challenge yourself to have a viewpoint of an aerial aspect as to why the situation may happen or why it occurs all the damn time, and then sign yourself up to showing up to a sense of dignified responsibility, hey? Because this gaslighting around this energy it's part of the narrative as to why we keep running into century-old issues. Alright, let's see how they want to braid together, minor and major. What's the point of the tug of war? What's the point? I mean, we know the point. The point is the point. But that's the question, so what's the point between the two? You, and more you. Right. Being told no more. With that being said, collective, if you'd like to check out as to who and what I am more closely, as this has been 7th that read these energies for you, is a little bit different that I did this intro or did this reading, I could tell. You'll know that by other readings that I've done on this channel. Please know that I am a master healer that provides remote wellness alignments. Information in the description box below will have that information for you, or access in my bio, okay? I'm wishing you a wonderful morning, noon, or night, wherever you are in the ether of this time and space, and may you keep flowing, growing, and glowing. Take care.